There is a feeling that haunts us. A quiet, scratching sensation at the back of your mind that usually hits late at night, or when you are staring out of a train window at a landscape that looks exactly like every other landscape you've ever seen. It is the feeling that we are too late. We are raised on stories of Magellan, of Columbus, of Shackleton. We are told about the age of discovery as if it were a chapter in a book that has firmly closed. We look at Google Earth, and we see a globe that is completely rendered. Every street is named. Every coastline is traced. Every island has a Wikipedia page. We have satellites that can read a license plate from space, and billionaires taking joyrides to the edge of the atmosphere. And so, we assume the job is done. We assume Earth has been solved. We assume that mystery is a relic of the past, something that died when we invented GPS. But this is a lie. It is perhaps the greatest lie we tell ourselves to feel safe. The truth is, we are living on a planet that we barely understand. We are tenants in a house where we have only explored the hallway and the kitchen, while locked doors, basements, and attics surround us, pulsing with noises we cannot explain and physics we cannot replicate. The map is not the territory. The map is just what we know so far. If you zoom in past the cities, past the highways, past the places where the data is clean, you start to see the glitches. You find vast swaths of the Amazon that have never felt a human footprint in 500 years. You find sounds in the southern Pacific Ocean that are so loud they shatter our understanding of biology. You find craters in Siberia that seem to breathe. Today, we are not just going to talk about these places. We are going to learn how to find them. We are going to strip away the illusion of a conquered world and learn the forgotten art of investigating the unknown. We are going to look at the blank spaces on the map and ask the most dangerous question a human being can ask. What are we not seeing? Chapter 1. The Green Illusion, the Amazon Anomaly. Asterisk, asterisk. To understand the unknown, we first have to understand how bad we are at seeing what is right in front of us. Let's start with the Amazon rainforest. If I ask you to picture the Amazon, you probably imagine a pristine, untouched wilderness, a virgin forest. For centuries, this was the scientific consensus. Biologists and historians agreed that the soil in the Amazon, which is highly acidic and nutrient-poor, could never support large-scale civilizations. They argued that the indigenous populations there must have always been small, scattered hunter-gatherer tribes living lightly on the land. They looked at the green canopy from airplanes and saw nothing but trees. They assumed empty. But then, we changed how we looked. We stopped using human eyes and started using LiDAR light detection and ranging. We flew over the canopy and shot billions of laser pulses down to the ground, digitally erasing the trees to reveal the topography of the earth beneath. And the virgin wilderness vanished. In its place, we saw cities, massive geometric earthworks, square plazas perfectly aligned with the cosmos, roads, superhighways stretching for miles, connecting settlements that would have housed tens of thousands of people. We found evidence of terra preta, a man-made, dark, fertile soil engineered by lost civilizations to terraform the jungle. We realized that the Amazon wasn't a wilderness. It was a garden. It was an overgrown estate of a civilization that was wiped out by disease before we ever cataloged them. The mystery here isn't just who were they. The mystery is, how did we miss them for 500 years? We missed them because we were arrogant. We assumed that if we couldn't see it, it wasn't there. This is the first rule of exploring the unknown. The absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Right now, as you listen to this, there is a location in the remote Brazilian state of Acre. It's a geometric geoglyph, a perfect circle carved into the earth, hundreds of feet wide. It dates back 2,000 years. We don't know what it was for. We don't know who built it. But we know that for centuries, People walked right over it, thinking it was just a bump in the ground. How many bumps in the ground are you walking over? How many mysteries are hiding in plain sight, camouflaged by our own assumptions? Chapter 2. The Twilight Zone, the ocean's false bottom. Asterisk, asterisk, if the land can hide cities, the ocean can hide monsters. We love to say that we know more about the surface of the Mars than we do about our own ocean floor. It's a cliché, but clichés are often true. But the scariest part of the ocean isn't the floor, it's the middle. During World War II, sonar operators on Navy vessels began to notice something impossible. During the day, their sonar would detect a solid sea bottom at around 300 to 500 meters deep. But as night fell, this bottom would rise. It would slowly ascend toward the surface, and then, as the sun rose the next morning, it would sink back down into the deep. The sea floor was moving. It turned out it wasn't the floor, it was life. It is now known as the deep scattering layer. It is a mass of biomass so dense billions upon billions of lanternfish, siphonophores, squid, and jellies that it reflects sound waves like solid rock. Every night, the largest migration on Earth takes place, not across the Serengeti, but vertically in the ocean. Billions of tons of creatures rise to feed under the cover of darkness and retreat at dawn. But here is where the investigation gets dark. In 1997, the NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, hydrophones detected a sound in the ultra-low frequency range. It was recorded across sensors thousands of miles apart. It was organic. It varied in frequency like a living thing. But it was incredibly loud. They called it the bloop. For years, the internet ran wild. Was it a massive unknown whale? A remnant megalodon? A Lovecraftian horror waking up? Eventually, scientists settled on a theory. It was likely an ice quake, a massive iceberg cracking and fracturing. It fits the data. It makes sense. It comforts us. But then there was Julia. Another sound, recorded on March 1st, 1999. It lasted for 15 seconds. It sounded like a cooing, whining moan. It was loud enough to be heard across the entire equatorial Pacific Ocean array. And then there was Upsweep, a seasonal sound that has been recorded since 1991. It consists of a long train of narrow band, upsweeping sounds of several seconds duration each. It peaks in the spring and autumn. We attribute these to volcanic activity or ice movement because that is what fits our model. But the truth is, we are listening to a room where the lights are off. We hear a creak and we say, it's the wind. We hear a thump and we say, it's the house settling. But we don't know. To explore the unknown here, you don't need a submarine. You need to look at the data gaps. Look at the coordinates 54S14OW. This is the approximate location of the Julia Sound. Open Google Earth. Switch to Ocean View. You will see lines crisscrossing the ocean floor. Those are the paths and ships that have mapped the sonar. But look between the lines. Look at the vast, smooth, blue spaces. That isn't smooth sand. That is lack of data. That is a void. In those voids, entire mountain ranges exist that we haven't named. In 2005, the nuclear submarine USS San Francisco collided with an underwater mountain that wasn't on any chart. A literal mountain. If we can lose a mountain, what else are we missing? Chapter 3. The Zone of Silence and the Magnetic Anomalies, asterisk, asterisk. Let's move away from the biological and into the physical. Let's talk about places where the laws of physics seem to get ... bruised. There is a patch of desert in the Mapimi Biosphere Reserve in Durango, Mexico, known as La Zona del Silencio, the Zone of Silence. The legend goes that radio signals die here. Compass needles spin wildly. It sits on the 27th parallel north, the same latitude as the Bermuda Triangle and the pyramids of Giza. Now a skeptic and we must always be skeptics if we want to be true explorers, will tell you that the radio interference is caused by magnetic deposits, specifically magnetite, in the mountains surrounding the valley. They will tell you that the silence is just a lack of cell towers. But investigate closer. In July 1970, the U.S. Air Force launched an Athena test rocket from Utah, programmed to land in New Mexico. But the rocket didn't go to New Mexico. It went rogue. It overshot its target by hundreds of miles and plummeted straight into the heart of the zone of silence. Why? Locals tell stories of fireballs in the sky. Not meteors, but lights that hover and move with intelligence. They describe encounters with tall, blonde strangers who ask for water and speak in strange, formal Spanish, claiming they come from above. Is this mass hysteria? Is it folklore? Or is it a convergence? When we investigate the unknown, we have to look for patterns. Let's jump continents. Go to the Hoia Baciu forest in Romania. It is called the Bermuda Triangle of Transylvania. Here, the trees grow in strange, twisted zigzag patterns that botany cannot explain. People who enter the forest report sudden, intense anxiety, rashes, and missing time. Electronic devices malfunction. Scientists have measured magnetic anomalies in the soil. There are pockets of the forest where the radioactivity levels spike for no geological reason. If you are an explorer of the unknown, you stop looking at these as ghost stories and start looking at them as data points. What connects the zone of silence to Hoia Baciu? The interaction between electromagnetism and human consciousness. We know that high electromagnetic fields can induce hallucinations in the human brain. We know that infrasound, sound below 20 Hz, can cause feelings of dread and terror. So, are these places haunted? Or are they geological batteries? Are they places where the Earth's natural circuitry is exposed, frying the perception of anyone who walks into them? The mystery isn't, are there ghosts? The mystery is, how does the geology of the Earth manipulate the psychology of the human? We are biological machines running on electrical impulses. When we step into a strong enough magnetic anomaly, who is to say that what we see isn't real? Chapter 4. The Sentinelese and the Forbiddens ****. Sometimes the unknown isn't hidden. Sometimes it is standing on a beach, pointing a bow and arrow at your chest. We have this idea that we are allowed to go everywhere, that the Earth belongs to us, the modern, civilized explorers. But there is an island in the Bay of Bengal called North Sentinel Island. It is roughly the size of Manhattan. It is covered in dense forest, and it is home to the Sentinelese people. They are the most isolated tribe on Earth. They have lived there for perhaps 60,000 years. They do not know how to make fire. They wait for lightning strikes and preserve the embers. They do not know about agriculture. They do not know about the internet, the moon landing, or the wars of the 20th century. To them, we are aliens. When helicopters approach, they shoot arrows. When boats get too close, they attack. And because of their isolation, they have no immunity to our diseases. A handshake from you would be a biological weapon to them. So, the Indian government has established a forbidden zone, a quarantine. No one is allowed within 5 miles of the island. This is a physical location on Earth, in 2025, that is completely alien to us. We don't know their language. We don't know their religion. We don't know what they call themselves. We don't know how many of them there are. It is a black box, but it forces us to ask a difficult question. Asterisk, asterisk, do we have the right to know everything? Asterisk, asterisk. In our quest to explore the unknown, we often destroy the mystery in the process of solving it. If we landed on North Sentinel Island, we would document them, vaccinate them, clothe them, and their unique existence, an unbroken link to the Stone Age, would vanish in a generation. The Sentinelese remind us that some mysteries are better left unsolved, that the unknown serves a purpose. It preserves diversity. It preserves the alternative ways of being human. But it also ignites our curiosity like nothing else. Just look at the Google Earth reviews for North Sentinel Island. Thousands of people joking, speculating, dreaming about what is in that jungle. We are obsessed with the door that is locked. And that obsession leads us to the most dangerous places of all. The places that aren't just forbidden by law, but forbidden by nature. Let's go to Siberia. If you want to find the true unknown, you have to go where people aren't. And there is nowhere on Earth quite as empty, quite as cold, and quite as hostile as the Irkutsk region of southeastern Siberia. In 1949, a geologist named Vadim Kolpokov was on an expedition. He was mapping the territory, looking for ore deposits. The locals, the Yakut people, had warned him about a specific area. They called it the Fire Eagle's Nest. They said even the deer wouldn't go there. They said that people who went near it began to feel sick, that an invisible weight would press down on their chests. Kolpakov, being a man of science, ignored the folklore. He climbed a slope, looked down into the valley, and froze. Rising out of the dense taiga forest was a gray cone. It looked exactly like a volcano crater. It was massive, the height of a 25-story building. But there was a problem. There are no volcanoes in this part of Siberia. The rock here is hundreds of millions of years old. It is stable. A volcano here is a geological impossibility. It is like finding a polar bear in the Sahara. He climbed it. The structure was made of shattered limestone blocks, weighing tons, thrown up from deep underground. In the center, there was a smaller mound, like an egg sitting in a nest. This is the Potomsky crater. And nearly 80 years later, we still don't know what it is. We have thrown everything we have at it. We've sent expeditions. We've used magnetometers. At first, we thought, meteorite. It looks like an impact. But there's no meteoric material. No fragments. No nickel. No iron. Similar to the accelerated growth seen in plants near Chernobyl. And in 2005, the lead researcher of an expedition died of a heart attack within kilometers of the site. A coincidence? Maybe, but the magnetic field readings inside the crater are erratic. The radiation levels are slightly elevated. It is a scar on the face of the Earth that refuses to heal and refuses to explain itself. Some scientists now theorize it might be a gas volcano, a massive pocket of deep earth gas that exploded outward, shattering the rock, but not melting it. For those 2%, it was torture. It was louder inside than outside. It caused nosebleeds, insomnia, anxiety. It drove some people to suicide. Then it happened in Taos, New Mexico. The Taos hum. Then in Windsor, Ontario. then in Kokomo, Indiana. This isn't a ghost story. This is a documented global phenomenon. Audio engineers have set up sensitive equipment, and they have caught it. There is a low-frequency vibration in these places, but we can't find the source. Is it the pressure of high-pressure gas lines vibrating the Earth? Is it military communications with submarines using extremely low frequency, ELF, waves? Or is it something more fundamental? There is a theory called the Earth's natural ring. We know that the Earth constantly vibrates like a bell, struck by the energy of ocean waves and the atmosphere. Usually, this is far below human hearing. But what if, in certain geological conditions, the Earth amplifies itself? What if the ground you are standing on is singing? The hum represents the invisible unknown. We rely so much on our eyes. We trust the map. We trust the photograph. But the universe is vibrating in spectrums we cannot see. We are bathed in Wi-Fi signals, radio waves, cosmic radiation, and perhaps geological resonance. To explore this layer of the unknown, you have to learn to listen. You have to tune in to the static. So, how do you do it? How do you, sitting there at your desk or on your phone, become an explorer of these mysteries? You don't have a research vessel. You don't have $1 million grant. But you have the most powerful tool in the history of exploration, the pattern recognition engine, your brain. The era of physical discovery, of planting flags on new continents, might be over. But the era of data discovery has just begun. Most of the mysteries I've told you about today, the Amazon cities, the ocean anomalies, the Siberian crater, were not solved by Indiana Jones types hacking through the jungle with machetes. They were solved, or at least discovered, by people looking at data differently. They were found by people looking at satellite imagery and noticing that a shadow was in the wrong place. They were found by people reading old ship logs and realizing the weather reports didn't match the history books. Here is your roadmap to the unknown. First, identify the blank spots. Don't look at the cities. Look at the transitions. Look at the borders between nations where access is restricted. Look at the deep oceans. Look at the dense forests of the Congo or Papua New Guinea. There are thousands of square miles of this planet that have not been walked upon in 100 years. Second, look for the glitches. Read local news. Ignore the New York Times and the BBC for a moment. Go to the digital archives of small-town newspapers in rural areas. Search for terms like unexplained sound, tremor, lights, or missing. You will find that strange things happen in clusters. You will see patterns that the mainstream algorithm ignores because they don't fit the daily news cycle. Third, and most importantly, cultivate radical curiosity. The biggest barrier to exploring the unknown isn't money or travel. It's the belief that someone else has already figured it out. We walk past a weird rock formation and think, a geologist must know what that is. We see a strange light and think, it's probably a plane. Stop doing that. Assume no one knows. Assume you are the first person to truly look at it. Take a photo. Check the coordinates. Research the history of the land. The world is not a solved puzzle. It is a shifting, breathing, chaotic mystery. The map is just a drawing we made to make ourselves feel better. It is a thin layer of paper over a deep, dark ocean. There are still dragons in the margins. There are still cities beneath the leaves. There are still sounds that can break your mind and craters that breathe like living things. They are out there, waiting for the person who is brave enough to stop looking at the map and start looking at the territory. The unknown is not a distance. It is a decision. A decision to open your eyes. So, turn off the screen. Look out the window. What are you not seeing?